Hey there. Thank you for joining us. San Jose Earthquakes. This is our 2026 Major League Soccer season preview with special guest Favian Renkel. We are here. Favian Renkel is joining us, formerly from the Tectonic Takes. I think the first time we had you on, you were living in Japan. We had to do like a weird time delay kind of thing going on. Now you're moving up in the world.
I mean, I wouldn't say that necessarily. I'm still living in cheap apartments and fixing things around the house, But yeah, I moved back to the States. I moved to California about 3 years ago, and now I'm in New York. So yeah, it's been a journey, man. I've been on your show or your guys' show 3 different locations I've lived. So this is kind of like a tradition at this point.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. Scott, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I'm thinking maybe on the back of this, I'll start a new game show that's like, where in the world is Favian Renkel?
I hope,
that'd be a good one. He could drop like Instagram clues, just like a picture of like a stairway. So I was like, I know those stairs, man. I love it.
Yeah.
One day I'm just gonna start posting like G wagons and stuff, and all of a sudden cover the Saudi league. So just don't ask,
We don't talk Saudi on here. Anyway, let's get into some content. We are going to recap the 2025 season. Then we're going to talk about the incoming and outcoming transfers, preview the season, and then ask some questions later on. Get in the chat. If you drop some questions, we'll pull them up here live and, join the discussion. Love that. Make sure you subscribe. Find us on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify now with video, YouTube, or Apple, anywhere that your phone hooks it up. I don't even know what these are anymore. There's a new one every week. Let's talk about the Quakes. 11-8-15 record was good enough for 10th in the Western Conference. Eliminated from United States Open Cup quarterfinal. And you missed the play-in round by tiebreaker after equaling RSL's 41 points. Tiebreaker was wins. I think you guys had 3 more draws, and they had 1 more win. It was a push. Not what we think of when we think of successful seasons here, but not a wooden spoon contender either.
Yeah, look, it was kind of a whirlwind of a season, to be honest. The Quakes being in it till the last couple of minutes in the RSL match. It was a wild thing to see, like the Quakes took care of business at home that night, and everybody was watching the Jumbotron to see if, RSL would lose the match. And if I'm not mistaken, it was against LAFC. So the Quakes, up until, the whistle was blown in that LAFC match, they really thought they were going to be in the playoffs. So it's a sad kind of finish to what was an okay season for the Quakes. I mean, we had superstars. The players obviously liked playing with each other. It was kind of like a whole comeback story for Josef Martinez and Chicho Arango and getting along with the Earthquake kind of fan base. So truly a disappointing end to what was an okay season for the Quakes. And when I'm saying like the Quakes having a good season, we don't get those that often, to be honest.
Absolutely. Let's see how you guys finished where you did. 60 goals scored was 4th in the West, but 63 conceded was 13th in the West. This is a team that scored a lot, but conceded a lot. -3 goal differential was tied for 6th in the West, although those were at least less opportune times, and it did not show up on the win-loss record there too much. The stories for me that, kind of the whole season need to be based around, you brought in Bruce Arena to coach the team, and this was a year of roster rebuild. Bruce bringing in his guys. I mean, looking at the depth chart from last year, I think it was like the first week that he was in charge, he brought 3 guys over from New England, and then before the season was over, another 2. I guess you can say at least he is predictable, if nothing else. It was a 5-6-6 home record and a 6-2-9 away record. So that's a lot of wins for the road. I really like that. I always say if you're on the road, you play for the draw. No, don't play for the win. 3 points is so much more than 2. And the 50-50 shot you have at blowing the draw and losing against winning, that it's 3 points. That's gambling. If you have a 50% chance of winning a 1-in-3 bet, you take it every single time. At the end of the season,
for all those extra draws at the home record, It's only one more point. 21 points at home, 20 points on the road.
Yeah.
Like,
Got
so much for home advantage, you know.
shoot your shot. Storyline guiding this preseason, fumbled Christian Espinoza. Favian, what do you think?
Yeah, look, there was a lot of games that I covered last year for the Earthquakes, and they really lost it in the last 10 minutes of the match, and they really should have been wins, but they ended up just winning, or excuse me, tying the match and getting 1 point out of a lot of home games. Now, to be honest, is PayPal Park a fortress? Is PayPal Park filled to the gills every single game? No. So that's the one thing. Also, when the Quakes kind of play in other stadiums in the Bay Area, are they really home matches? That's another thing to kind of think about, because when LAFC comes into town with Sun and Mexican Heritage Night, a lot of LAFC fans show up, and a lot of casual Bay Area fans show up, and they're like, "Oh, Carlos Vela played for this team, so I know of LAFC." So could have been a better home record, but then again, they were in opportunities and they just fumbled them. Speaking of fumbled, they fumbled their club legend Christian Espinoza. Even if you believe the story of everything that happened, they could have sold him last offseason for something. They could have got a little bit of GAM if they knew that their project wasn't going to move forward with him. But Bruce was never really fond of Christian. I mean, there was moments where Bruce, didn't really hype up his own guys. He didn't really hype up Christian Espinoza. So it was kind of like the writing on the wall for that one. I thought Bruce always spoke highly about the young guys in San Jose's roster, but definitely not too much about Chicho and Espinoza and Josef. More like he was always inclined to talk about the youth movement that the Earthquakes are. But if you talk to Bruce, he's always talking about the changes that he's brought to the Earthquakes. Like, he always talks about this dining hall that he built in San Jose. Like, this dining hall is like, he's so proud of the Earthquakes finally having a dining hall. And it's kind of like a broken record. I'm not sure what the big deal. I mean, it is, you feel like a professional club when you have the professional amenities, but still, it's pretty funny to hear him to always talk about this dining hall and how the practice field actually has a gate now. There was a lot of things to be changed in San Jose, and it wasn't just the roster. It looks like the off-roster things have been taken care of, and now we're going into a second rebuild, to be honest, under Bruce Arena.
I find that fascinating. Like, in this, the year of our Lord 2026, that professional teams in this country are talking about, yeah, we don't have a place to eat. That kind of stuff, crazy to me. But I want to bring us kind of back onto the field a little bit as we kind of think about the year that was, very briefly. Obviously, San Jose spent a lot of money last year, brought in a lot of players. You just mentioned that Bruce didn't necessarily think that highly of them, but like Chicho, Christian Espinoza, Joseph Martinez, like, those guys produced. I mean, this team put up some offensive numbers, and then defensively also put up some defensive numbers in the wrong direction. Like, what went wrong there on the field?
I honestly don't know if there's a single Earthquake that would start on, or single Earthquake center back that would start on maybe 80% of MLS rosters, to be honest. The Quakes lacked center back depth all year last season. They lacked it the year before. It just seems like the Earthquakes can never get some solid center backs that their coach likes. This year, he brought in Romney, a guy who possibly was past his prime a bit, and he gave him a second chance in San Jose. We always make the joke that, we traded a couple guys from the Revs to the Quakes, like Yule and I forgot his name. Yule and not Muni, the other guy who went. Excuse me, but there was another center back who went to the Revs. It's escaping my mind right now, but we traded them for Romney, basically, and Nick Lima. So you go from a bad center back to another mediocre center back. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference there. And the Quakes really didn't invest any money into their center backs. And Daniel kind of had a dip in his form because the line in front of him, I think, wasn't truly up to par with the rest of MLS, especially since it's such an attacking league and you have to be able to defend to win games.
You really do have to be able to defend. I would say too, like, it's been a long time since somebody was talking about like a San Jose keeper as being one of the best in the league. It just feels like a position the team has not really known what to do about. Like, they're like, it'll be fine. You know, here's somebody that we think, you know, this guy will be all right. And then you just end up, it's like, well, it wasn't that good.
Yeah, look, we've gotten away with playing super draft picks being our center backs. Like, the person I was thinking of was Tanner Beeson.
Oh, yeah.
Revs.
Yeah.
He was kind of subpar for the Quakes, and then he went to the Revs, and then also Daniel Muni. He's okay. You know, like, these guys are okay, but I still think you need to bring in someone with good quality back there, or else you're just going to get completely torched. And I mean, the outside backs are okay. You know, it's nothing to write home about. But yeah, the Quakes just didn't look like they really had an identity going to defend, especially since they gave up all those late goals, especially at home.
Yeah, and it's also the Western Conference. I feel like you can get away with having one worse phase of play in the Western Conference. Like, the Eastern Conference has all these like teams that are built really well, that are good system teams. Right. The Western Conference has like superstars. Like, you need center backs who can put up with Son and Buanga.
Right.
You can't get away with cheaping out on Dave Romney.
And when it was Son and Buanga, they torched us. I mean, I think Son scored within 3 minutes, and then Buanga scored a hat trick. Like, it was a party. And at Levi Stadium, where the Super Bowl is going to be this weekend, it was a party. It was a LAFC Son and Buanga party.
Yeah, conceded 4 to Vancouver as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you said beforehand, hey, this team's going to put up 60 goals and concede 63.
Look, it was exciting soccer. I'll give him that.
Speaking of exciting soccer, I mentioned that some of these guys put up numbers. Josef Martinez, 14 goals, 2 assists. Chicho Arango, 13 goals, 3 assists. Preston Judd, 6 goals, 2 assists. Bo LaRue, 5 goals, 3 assists. Christian Espinoza, 4 goals, 8 assists. Duwan Jones, 1 goal, 6 assists. Ian Harkes, 3 goals, 2 assists. I mean, there were goals to be shared. And at the beginning of the season, I remember we talked, can Josef Martinez and Chicho Arango play together? And the answer to that was, yeah, actually. There was enough to go around for sure.
No, definitely. I mean, Chicho actually, I thought, did pretty well, you know, adjusting to Josef. And a lot of times Josef came off the bench. So he was super clinical. I mean, I'm almost sad that Josef didn't stay in MLS, because if he stayed in MLS, maybe he catches, you know, a couple more guys on the all-time goal scoring list. So, yeah, I was shocked by Josef and what he was able to do coming off the bench for almost half of the year. And Chicho Arango, too, being able to play with Josef and with Christian Espinoza and kind of be the facilitator more, maybe played kind of like a 10 role for us a bit at times. Yeah, I really didn't expect that.
I think that a couple things happen here. First of all, last season, 41 goals scored. 2025, 60. Sorry, 2024 was 41 goals. 2025 was 60. It's a 19-goal swing. That's huge. Josef Martinez, 0.67 goals per 90 minutes played. That led the team by a lot, and that would be the equivalent of like scoring 25 over the course of a full 90. He could have been Golden Boot winner. But as you know, I'll reference what Scott said before, if in the year of the Lord 2025, Josef Martinez is your striker with the most goals, might not be a great thing. But overall, we can't look at this and deny it. The offense was not the problem. Offense was not the problem.
No, definitely. I think the offense played well enough to keep up. The defense was definitely the issue.
Let's then go to some players in and players out. First, we'll start with the outgoing players. We talked Christian Espinoza already and Josef Martinez, but Mark Anthony Kaye, one of Coach's favorites over there from New England, is gone. Christian Espinoza, we already talked about. I'm reading this backwards now. Oscar Verhoeven, Rodriguez, Chicho Arango, Nick Lima retiring. I still feel like he's a 16-year-old kid. players going out. Let's talk about what that means to the club, because right now when you look at the depth chart, there's a lot of possibility, but not a lot of certainty.
Yeah, look, and also Pellegrino, a guy who was a little bit of depth for us, went over to San Diego in the summer transfer window, and this team looks like it's very bare bones. I mean, Bruce said in the press conference for Timo Werner, hopefully they can get 1 to 2 more guys in before the start of the season, but it looks like this is the team. Like, this is going to be it for the Earthquakes, besides maybe one reinforcement. So Rodriguez, Nick Lima, Mark Anthony Kaye weren't big guys for this team. Rodriguez wasn't really in Bruce's arena's, good camp. He was kind of in the doghouse all the time, so he didn't play much under Bruce Arena. Mark Anthony Kaye possibly didn't look like he was at the same level that he was all the years prior. And then Nick Lima never really played, to be honest. He never really stepped foot.
I'm
And he came
surprised about Mark Anthony Kaye because he's never played at a consistent level his whole career.
Yeah,
he's always been like that guy, always going to take the next step, and he plays amazing in a couple of games. And then other times you watch and it's like, I was high on this guy.
Right.
What happened there?
Right. No, it is an interesting case of Mark Anthony Kaye, that's for sure. And then San Diego keeps poaching talent like Oscar Verhoeven, who's a solid starter from them now. And then not only did they steal some or purchase some, Quakes 1 guys, but if I'm not mistaken, San Diego started a Quakes 2 guy in this CONCACAF Champions Cup game and just put a blaze to Pumas, excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys going out. Other teams are kind of picking up the Quakes pieces and thinking, you know what, this might be the pieces that we need. So it's interesting to see Bruce kind of just giving away the talent and truly trusting the process when it comes to the academy.
Incoming, Timo Werner.
Yeah, that's really the biggest one on this list. Timo Werner is a big deal for any club. I mean, I think it's still crazy that he went to the Earthquakes. I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect that. When I saw that rumor go out that he was going to Miami, I still didn't believe that either. But who would have thought San Jose Earthquakes is their biggest signing since George Best in 76, if I'm not mistaken. So, no, 100%. This is a crazy, crazy transfer. I mean, even Timo Werner himself said, yeah, Bruce came to Leipzig with PowerPoints and maps to show me where San Jose even is on the map. So honestly, it was a shocking kind of discovery to see that Timo Werner didn't even know where San Jose was, and he called San Jose the Mallorca of the United States, and that was kind of shocking too.
That's pretty funny. I hadn't heard that. I love that. Honestly, you were mentioning like this team's really bare bones. Like I think you see the scale of it there, because even with like the players out, we didn't show. There's a whole bunch of youth players too who are out, and then to bring in just like a couple of guys. We're gonna go to like the depth chart now, but I'm thinking you teased it before that Bruce all last season was high on the youth. I feel like he's setting this up now where he's like, no, like the youth are there. Like we are going to rely on them. As we look into this depth chart, is that the case?
Yeah, look, I mean, they also sold some young players too. They sold Chance Cowell to RSL, a guy who could be fighting for the backup 10 position. Nico Sekiris is a guy that Bruce actually spoke about in Timo Werner's press conference, that he's going to have a pretty big role this year and that he liked what he saw from last season. Another guy, Bolaru, Bruce said that he's going to have a bigger season with the Quakes. So 100% he's leaning on this youth movement, and he's going to lean on the academy and the way they draft, because if they don't, and I still think they're going to have a hard time, they may, I mean, I don't want to say wooden spoon, but I think their projection is definitely less than what it was last year.
Let's start in the back and let's talk some tactics. Is Daniel your starting goalie?
Easy. I think Daniel is still the starting goalie. I think he still has something in him to show us that he can once again be a great shot stopper in MLS. So I think Daniel is your starter.
And let's look up to this back line then. Victor Costa on the left, DeJuan Jones on the right, projecting right now, Dave Romney and Daniel Mooney in the middle. It's a classic back four. Is that what we expect? Are the wing backs going to get up and down or be a little more conservative?
Yeah, honestly, we're not going to know really what this team looks like until they play in Coachella. We're thinking that, or at least I'm thinking, they're going to have to go with the two back since they don't have any really center back depth at all. You're going to have to play some sort of 10 in this kind of lineup because Timo Werner isn't a lone striker. He never was a lone striker. He even talked about in his press conference that he is a secondary striker, that he's going to need someone up top with him. So with that in mind, I believe we're going to see DeJuan Jones and Victor Costa still going up, but they're also going to be less wing back, more outside back, in my opinion.
Maybe slightly more conservative.
Yeah.
Than the kind of free roaming wing backs of other teams. I got to say, Dave Romney and Daniel Mooney, this is not a new center back pairing.
Yeah.
Do we have any expectation that this will be defensively different?
No, I think this is going to be 60 goals again. Like, we didn't change anything, in my opinion. Like, nothing's changed from this lineup. And Bruce is acting like they were one of the best defensive teams in the league last year. And it's just shocking to me.
Well, let's see if Bruce can coach these guys up. And maybe let's talk about this defensive midfielder, Vieira, in front of them. Lone sixth defensive midfielder. That's how they roll.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is a formation that's working in progress. Maybe we can see like Bo and Ian kind of come a little closer to the middle while the wingbacks kind of take on the sides. But yeah, it's gonna have to be kind of this sweeper role for Vieira because he's gonna have a big job, to be honest.
I love it, and I'm looking at his stats, and I'm looking a little bit at transfer market. I like to see the player value. I think that kind of tells a lot about him. I mean, this was a $7 million guy when he played with Sampdoria before going to Hellas Verona. So, someone who went around that Italian league playing center defensive midfield. I mean, there's some good players center defensive midfield. Italy can be a really defensive league. I think of Italians like Tonali. And traditionally, of course, the list goes on. So I like to think that is this a new player? When was he brought over? Last summer?
Yeah, he was brought over in the summer. He played fairly well. He keeps Noah Buck off of the lineup and on the bench. So he's definitely
addition by subtraction. Is that what we said?
Basically, I mean, no, but he's been an okay pickup. He hasn't really struck that. It's like superstar caliber type player, but he's been a solid starter for the San Jose Earthquakes.
When we move up to further up the midfield, now this is just a graphic I threw together, a depth chart in 5 minutes. We think they're going to be more narrow, right? More of a 4-1-2-1-2 kind of thing, which is a pretty difficult formation to play. But Bruce Arena is going to Bruce Arena. So yeah, we're not really looking at wings, Bolaru and Ian Harks. We're looking at central midfielders, Bolaru and Ian Harks. And this, I think, if anything, is going to be the strength of the squad right now. I think these are really two really capable players.
Yeah, man, it's tough to look at any part of this lineup and say the strength, but yeah, if you're going to have to choose one, Bolaru is definitely going to have that leap in his play this year. I think he's slated to really exceed any kind of potential he had, and I think he's going to get that this year. Excuse me. And then Nico Sekiris, he has to make that jump. I mean, we've been talking about Nico for maybe 3 years now. Has to make the jump this year. The team needs him. The team's going to put everything in him. I mean, all the eggs in Nico Sekiris' basket this year, but he has to go ahead and take that jump.
And with Sekiris and Ian Harks, you have a whole lot of fantastic hair. Really, really great hair in the central midfield for this. Trying to pick up any positive I can here.
No, definitely.
I was going to say Ian Harks probably also gives you just a little bit of defensive presence if he wants to.
Yeah, exactly. Always ready to pick up a red card. Always ready to do a two-footed tackle on someone.
It says here, Foxy, Ronaldo Vieira came through the Leeds United Academy. Nice little addition there. And Ian Harks turns 30 years old. He's already 30 years old. I can't remember John Harks' little boy He's fully grown up into his MLS career. Let's move forward and talk about the strikers. Timo Werner, Preston Judd are going to be your two center forwards. How do we expect them to link up? I mean, obviously, this is a brand new pairing. We don't really. Has Timo put on a pair of cleats in the United States yet?
No, definitely. And he won't come until possibly the first game. I mean, this is a guy who might not even make the season opener because he just had a baby and he's going to go ahead and wait the preseason in Leipzig. And he's going to come hopefully before the first game. And then we're going to hear it. Oh, he didn't have a full preseason with us. Yeah. Oh, he gets a second year. You know, I already know all the buzzwords for MLS coaches. It seems like in 4 years of covering this team.
Yeah, if he starts slow, you're going to hear about, he showed up, didn't have the preseason, hasn't built up his fitness, like, and then if he picks up like a little muscle injury, you're going to hear that even more.
Right.
Playing next to him, we're projecting Preston Judd.
Yeah, look, Bruce said he was going to bring in a guy. This is exactly where I think they will. Preston is a great guy, a great player to come off the bench for an MLS team, but I don't see him being a full-time starter. I mean, at least this is a pretty big role for him. Maybe like Danny Musovski-esque, maybe he wins over this role and stays in the position, but I do think there's going to be some sort of striker competition. Oseni Buda is going to give that to him, but I just don't see the Quakes kind of trotting out there with Preston Judd and Timo Werner. I think you have to bring in another striker.
If I'm a Quakes 2 striker right now, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, I could get in on this.
Right. It's an opportunity for sure.
You know who would be great on this squad? Joseph Martinez.
That's crazy. That's crazy talk, man.
Who would have thought? Yeah.
All right. Let's now move on and kind of cover some of the questions that are going to guide us throughout the season. Which player outside of our current projected starting 11 has the best chance at winning a starting job?
Honestly, Jack Skane is always in talks of getting minutes, getting more minutes. Like he becomes any coach's favorite kind of player. I mean, can really fit anywhere on the wing in a 10 position, takes great penalties, just a complete dog. And he always finds a way to make the pitch when really he's just never like the favorite to go ahead and do so. So I think he could easily take Nico Sekiris's job one day after a couple of matches that Nico doesn't, have a goal contribution. So that's somebody I can easily say may have a spot at the starting 11.
What about realistic team expectations? Bare bones roster, definitely leaning towards the youth. You kind of teased it. Is this tell me this isn't a wooden spoon team?
It's so hard to kind of say that it isn't, because I do cover the other teams in this league, and I can tell you that I haven't found a team that I'm kind of down on as much as the Earthquakes. I mean, even Montreal looks like they're going to be better this season, so it's going to be interesting to see what teams compete with the Earthquakes for the wooden spoon. But a realistic expectation would be not win the wooden spoon and just not be in that race.
If I can give you a good expectation, you have a good coach, you have one world-class player, get some identity. That's okay. I'm okay. I'm a New York Giants football fan, right? They were really bad this year, but we saw a direction that they were headed. We saw an identity get formed, and it didn't feel so bad losing, knowing the progress was being made, the foundation was getting laid. So if I could expect them to, settle on a formation to, just set a spine up to where, we don't have anyone. There are no bones in this spine, but we have a concept of a spine that would make me feel a little better.
Well, in my opinion, I mean, you're not going to fire Bruce if he doesn't make the playoffs this year, right? So I guess Quakes fans, I'm sorry, but you're along for the ride no matter what.
What about what kind of roster mechanisms are open for this team? U22 DPs, open DP spots. What have they got right now?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they have 2 open DP slots. They have some U22s that are open. I mean, this team could make some, changes and bring in some difference makers in the summer. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to have a lot of flexibility with that. But just looking at them right now, I don't think they're going to bring in any true, difference makers. They're already in Coachella for preseason. Like, it's going to be a slow start for the Quakes, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Going back to the comments here, Noel Buck to be the guy who finds a way into the first 11, be a breakout player, really limited options to pick from. He is 20 years old. He did start in the Revs Academy. He was brought here by Bruce Arena. That might be a really good call. And he is someone who I have the opposite than I usually do. Usually I underrate a player's age. I thought he was 24, 25, past that prospect age. He's not. He's really fully in the first phase of his career. So that could be a really nice call too.
Yeah, the only part about Noah Buck is he didn't really hit, really touch the field last season. Like, he had a really hard time once he was on the pitch making an impact at all. So he's going to have to make a step in the right direction this season and finally kind of reach that potential that everyone's been talking about. And that's a lot of guys on this roster. Bo LaRue, Nico Sikiris, Noel Beck. A lot of these guys have to make that jump this season.
Yeah. And he played with the Southampton under 21s. That's not for scrubs.
I suppose too, like, if we're going to be really fair to the kids, that last year was probably not a good year to be a kid in San Jose because not because like the players around you were talented. It's not quite it, but it's because they have like certain standards, expectations, the willingness to allow you to be what you are, which is a youth player who needs to learn and grow. Like, that willingness sometimes isn't there amongst top high performing players. And so, like, if you're not ready to be on their level right now today, like, you're no good to them. So, like, I don't know, this situation, there might be a little bit more freedom for them to actually get out onto the field and express themselves in ways that are not possible when Josef Martinez is up there, or Chicho, or Christian Espinosa. Like, when those guys are around you and you're like almost starstruck.
Yeah, no, definitely. You can tell that Chicho and Josef and even Espinoza all expected a lot from their team. Chicho being probably the main one. I mean, you could definitely tell he was getting frustrated sometimes out there with the younger guys.
Let's talk about, I guess the young guys are obviously a storyline that we're going to watch all season long. I want to see which of those guys, wins a starting spot. What else? If we turn on an Earthquakes game, mid-season, whatever, what else should we be watching for?
I guess if the ownership change is going to come, if the Quakes are going to be sold this year by Fisher, Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, was at a game last season, maybe one of the last games. And I kind of tweeted out like, hey, people with this much money don't just go to games. They're checking something out. They're paying attention to some things. He was there with the mayor of San Jose, and that doesn't happen for no good reason, right? So if the Quakes are going to be sold, that's probably the biggest thing. And once the Quakes are sold, is Bruce going to be around? Like, are they going to look at this team and say, you know what, I want to put my stamp on it. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, Joe Lacob is famous for moving the Warriors to San Francisco, and they started that whole run while on their way to San Francisco. Does this happen in San Jose? Are the Earthquakes finally going to make that jump to San Francisco to be close to the Warriors and the Giants that are out here? So that's a huge storyline. I mean, a lot of fans are kind of worried out there in San Jose, like, hey, don't, careful what you wish for, because if we get new ownership over there, who knows? They might try to put that team in San Francisco, because they already have a suitor for their stadium, which is Bay FC, and it's already paid back, and it's privately owned. So everything is a possibility for the Earthquakes. Shoot, I hate to say this, but it's even a possibility that they move to Las Vegas one day, right? So imagine a team moving twice. So it is interesting, but I would say those are probably the biggest storylines if you're kind of looking at a macro level.
A league without the Earthquakes would be kind of a sad thing.
It happened for 7 years, right?
Absolutely. What do you think? Talk about X's and O's. What styles are the Quakes going to match up best against?
Honestly, any team that is maybe we can get them on the counters. I mean, if they're possession based and they're a little sloppy in the back, maybe Timo and Preston can kind of press them in a way where we can get some loose balls and things like that. But honestly, last year the Quakes were pretty good at that with Chicho. So I mean, I saw Chicho get a lot of goals just by kind of pressing extremely hard and being the engine in that team. It's going to be a big role. They're probably going to line up well against teams that are obviously struggling, So, but their tactical strength, I would say, is probably set pieces. Nico Securis is really good at taking free kicks. So, if anything, probably Preston Judd's going to be looking for fouls at the top of the box, and then we'll see what if Timo takes them or if Nico does.
I mean, if you can, get into those positions and you can take advantage of teams who are maybe a little too reckless defensively. I mean, shoot, set pieces are super valuable in this league.
Yeah, and also maybe a lot of teams try to sleep on the Quakes, right? Like maybe they catch them off guard, and it's a possibility where they can shock a lot of teams.
Timo Werner is going to have the quality too that any defense that is a little disjointed, that isn't really up for it against him, he's going to find ways to be sneaky, get goals, and stuff like that. I could see any like you were saying, teams that are sleeping, defenses that are like that would be fine today. They could be in for rough days, embarrassing moments.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Let's look the other way. Who specifically, what style specifically are the Earthquakes going to struggle against?
I think they're going to struggle against possession teams. I mean, teams that have true 10s. I think like the Miamis of the world, even Cincinnati, Vancouver. I think teams that play with true kind of offensive-minded, creative playmakers. I think the defense and the back line is just going to have a tough time.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure that those guys don't get the ball as much.
Yeah, and getting pulled out of shape by like those number 10s, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you could probably extend that to kind of like the star forwards, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who has the like skill and ability to really create for themselves and others.
Yeah.
The way that like Son and Bouwanga do that you called out earlier.
Exactly.
Having not upgraded the defense, I think that's we can extend there.
Absolutely. Which player do you think is going to improve the most in 2026?
Yeah, I think Bo LaRue is slated to have a good season. I think dropped out of the starting 11 a little bit at the end of the season, but was reinforced by Bruce that he believes in him this year. I could see him, possibly getting some looks for some January camps, camp cupcakes for the USMNT as well. I think he may make the biggest leap out of anybody in this squad. Nico Securis is another one that needs to. But yeah, I can see those two guys.
And flip the script. A player who regresses. That doesn't necessarily mean that they get really, really bad or anything like that. Maybe just coming down to earth. I'm going to soften that blow. But who doesn't benefit this year?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I haven't been, or I was pretty critical of the two center backs, but I'm going to keep being critical. I think Romney, to me, I'm kind of shocked that he still has a starting gig in MLS in 2026, but I think he's going to get torched this year. Not going to lie.
I could see that. I think that defense might be exposed a lot. I think you could say that about the goalkeeping crew as well.
Yeah.
Daniel might just find himself facing a lot of high percentage shots.
Yeah. Daniel, it's, in my opinion, may improve a bit because I don't see a shot stopper that was that good about 2 or 3 years ago, staying that bad. It'd be really hard to kind of fathom that he really, lost it. He has the yips or he can't do it anymore. But that is a possibility as well.
It's been kind of a downer. Give us something positive. Give me a positive on the Quakes to kind of wrap this up.
Do you like tie-dye?
Yeah.
I think the Quakes jersey might be a tie-dye jersey. No, but I mean, the academy is always finding great talents in the Bay Area. The Quakes draft well. I think the young guys are going to prove that they're worth something, even if it's not for this team. We could possibly see these names one day for the U.S. men's national team, or at least being flirted with that. So if you're a sicko for young U.S. nationals, watch the Quakes.
Yes,
Love it.
I love that.
Love it a lot. And it brought you to our show. Thank you so much for being here today, Favian. Keep your eyes open for him for the rest of the week, and enjoy doing the other 45 podcasts you have scheduled already. I know we have 13 left. I think this is number 17 already. So we're plowing along. Please make sure you join us for
guys. Right? This is normal. Like every single year, you have 30 plus at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So I guess I got the idea from you guys, right?
And NWSL this year.
Right. So that's even more. That's like 50.
A lot.
Yeah.
We're busy. You're busy. Thank you for taking the time out here to be with us tonight. And thank you, everyone at home, for tuning in to the Designated Pundits.